I'm co-founder of 2gaijin.com. 2gaijin.com, as you know, is a second-hand items trade platform for foreigners living in Japan. So if you want to buy, sell, or swap anything you want, you can go to our website and use our website to buy or trade anything you want. So today our topic is about learning Japanese and the difficulties about the Japanese language. And as you know, we all are in Japan, so it means we do face with this kind of problems daily. I have been learning Japanese from 2004. My main major is Oriental Studies, Japanese Language and Literature. So it means I had plenty of time to learn this language and experience and have difficulties that you already maybe have and pass through them. So today I want to share with you my experience. I wish Ken or Kensei, another team member, he was here and he could also share with you his experience with other foreigners. But today he is not being able to participate because of his health issues. I wish him to get well soon. And let's start. So one of the biggest problem is it's quite difficult to communicate with Japanese people in general. And it's also difficult to learn the language. And I think it's a kind of correlated. I will tell from my own experience. So when you learn Japanese, the first thing that is difficult most time is about the grammar part. And I would say the English grammar, where first comes the main part of the sentence, like I do blah blah blah, I go blah blah blah. So you know who is doing what. And in Japanese, it's not like that. You know who is doing, but you don't know what's going on, and you have to listen until the end of the sentence. So this is the specialty of Japanese language as a grammar. So that's why when you're listening to Japanese, you have to listen until the end. And I think in general, it's quite the biggest problem that I face when I started learning Japanese. Actually, we could go a bit more deeper, like a pronunciation part and words part. I can give a bit example from there and then come back to this topic again. So Japanese have a, I, U, E, O. So most of the time, the words and then syllables are made with this a, I, U, E, O, and then you add ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, sa, shi, su, se, so, and this way, and then from that you combine them together and you make words. And the difficulty is in Japanese there are 4 alphabets: hiragana, katakana, kanji, and romaji. So these 4 alphabets make kind of confusing for foreigners. Sometimes they don't understand why do Japanese need kanji if they can already use hiragana and katakana and romaji. And sometimes it's even difficult to understand why katakana does exist. Some words, they are like tobacco. I have seen this word written in hiragana sometimes and sometimes in katakana. So I'm getting confused even myself after these years. So this is, I think, the alphabet part, making people get confused about Japanese language. So you don't know which language is the essential, which one you should use. And basically I would say hiragana is, I would say, the most basic one. So even if you don't read any kanji, at least you can read hiragana. You can read simple books that have okurigana, which means on the kanji there will be its pronunciation with hiragana alphabet. So even if you can't read kanji itself, you can read the okurigana and know what the meaning of the word is. So that's kind of an important part about the Japanese alphabet. So if you learn hiragana, then you can kind of read also kanji if there's a pronunciation part of it. So then through that you can start learning Japanese language in a more advanced way. So this is one of the, how to say, keywords or tricks that you could do while you learn Japanese language. And I find another difficulty is Japanese words, sometimes they all look like each other. You don't know which word means what. So that's why after a while you just get tired. You get sometimes even frustrated. Let me give you a secret. when I started learning Japanese, first 2 years, I couldn't speak at all. It's like zero. And the reason was, I couldn't understand how I should combine the words to make into a sentence. Even though the Japanese grammar is quite similar with my country's grammar, but the books that are written to learn Japanese make it even more difficult. So that's why you're having difficulty to understand how you should get all those information, use it, and then put it out. So it took me almost 2 years to understand how I should use words to make them into a sentence and then speak. Besides, when we speak in a foreign language, like English, I can speak Russian as well, or Turkish or Azerbaijani, which is my mother tongue. We have like space between the words. So we have some pausa between the words, so you know where the word starts and where word ends, and then sentence, and then the text, right? So in Japanese, all the words are cramped together. So in one sentence, there's no pausa. It's all one. And after a while, you find yourself being in a difficult situation because the sentence is finished, but you couldn't understand a single word. And especially, it's quite difficult at the really beginning because you're really focusing to pick a word and you can't pick anything. You end up missing the whole text, the whole information that you're going to get. And it's making you a bit more and more frustrated. It happened with me just when I came to Japan. Before coming, I already could speak some Japanese, but I didn't have experience listening to Japanese in a long time span. So if I would speak with someone maybe 5-10 minutes, that's okay. But if it gets longer than that, like 30 minutes, the first 20 minutes, I really focus well. And after that, I just lose all the focus and I don't understand anything at all. So I would say try to pick beginning and end of sentence. If you pick those two, you can understand what's going on more or less in general. Because it's like English. If you say, I go to school, at least you know who is doing what. He goes. Where? Maybe you can ask a question and clear it out for yourself. With Japanese, watashi wa gakkou e ikimasu. So you can pick watashi and then ikimasu, and then middle part, you can kind of clear it out later. So I thought that that could be a trick to learn Japanese, maybe a bit more speedier way, maybe a bit faster way. So that's the, I would say, tricks that you could do with learning Japanese. Also, I find another difficulty related to the culture. In my country, if you are coming to Azerbaijan and you're learning Azerbaijani, or even if you are not learning Azerbaijani, you just came to study or work in Azerbaijan, you'll find out that my people teach you words that you don't know. So in Japan, if you say, arigatou gozaimasu, they will be like, sugoi subarashii, nihongo jouzu desu ne. And that's it. So you just get the feedback. You don't get extra anything. In my country, it's quite interesting that they are helping you to move to the next step, which means if you say, salam, which means hello, then they will tell you you should say nejasan, which means how are you. And then next time when you start using that word, they will tell you what to say after that. So you'll find out that in a really short time, like within 1 month or 2 months, you have learned Azerbaijani enough to walk around, and don't worry that you won't understand or you won't be able to communicate really simple stuff. In Japan, it takes a really long time to understand what you should say after something. For example, some of the Japanese words, they are really high context words, which means they, depending on the situation, they can mean different. Japanese people aren't direct people, so they don't say you anything directly. If they say no, they don't say iie, which means no literally, but they will say sumimasen, which means sorry. So if you say, 今日は一緒に買い物行きましょう. So should we go today for shopping? They can say sumimasen, and you will understand, yeah, it means no, even though it's not no. You just say sorry. But sometimes you can use sumimasen just for greeting. In the morning, if you see someone and then you are passing by, you just say sumimasen, and then it means you said hello, even though before it meant no. Sometimes you can knock the door and use sumimasen as a I'm sorry, may I kind of meaning. So some words, depending from the situation, they can mean different meanings. So if you can learn some of them, your life will be way more easier in Japan. And you can almost cope with any kind of situation. So one of them is sumimasen. Another one is otsukare-sama desu. But otsukare-sama desu, most time they use when they finish something, like you work together and you say otsukare-sama desu. Young generation even use otsukare, and sometimes you just can say otsukare instead of saying sayonara or jamata, which means also bye-bye. So it's high context language. So some of the words you can use in different occasions for the different meanings. So I would say this is the problematic part of the Japanese language, being too high context, so it's not clear what you should say. And for us foreigners who are quite direct, we get confused which word should mean what meaning and how we should use them when we speak with Japanese people. How to avoid problems when you're speaking with Japanese people? I would say in general, try to pronounce slowly. Even Japanese, when they're learning English, they ask you to pronounce the English words very slowly so they can pick the words. When we were small kids, we are hearing a lot of sounds and we try to mimic it. And after a while, we just finish developing that system. And if we didn't pick any sounds at that certain age, after that, it's quite difficult to pick it. So that's why sometimes it's difficult for us to pick the Japanese words because we are not used to hearing that kind of sounds. Or even opposite is possible. Japanese are having difficulty to pick the words that you say in English. So that's why it could become into confusion. So when you speak with Japanese people and they are really in one breath telling all the information, you can ask them, say the same thing, but slowly so you can understand it. So this is one of the ways. Another way is, as I told before, you can listen to the beginning and end of the sentence. So all the information between, even if you can't hear them, you can clear it out later. That could be another choice. That could be another way of fixing the problem with listening or understanding Japanese language when you're communicating with Japanese people. I have experience with this kind of situations. Once I was in the pharmacy and I wanted to buy multivitamins, and it took me around 20 minutes to explain them what I want, because Japanese people learn most of the foreign words through katakana, so which means they memorize the word as it would be written in katakana. So I went to the pharmacy and I said, Sumimasen, multivitamin uttemasu ka? Which means, do you have or do you sell multivitamins? And she was like, wakarimasen. She didn't understand what I want to say. And then call one more person from the room. So she also come. And now two girls listening to me, trying to understand what I want to get. And I said again, multivitamin, do you uttemasu ka? And they couldn't understand again. They figured it out, one of them went back, and then now came three people. And I was like, okay, this thing takes too much time. Let me think another way. I said, ちょっと待ってください. So wait a bit. And then I went to the Google and I searched for the multivitamin in Japanese. And it came out that it is multivitamin. And as soon as I said it, they were like, oh! So sometimes when we speak, we think we speak Japanese, or we try to speak some words that kind of should be common and Japanese should understand it, they can't pick the sound or they can't pick the word in general. So they don't understand what you want to say. So that's why I would say if you are trying to pronounce some Japanese words which came to Japanese language from overseas, like the word like multivitamins, like virus, virus, virusu. So these words are coming because of they don't have their own word for that. So that's why they're bringing in those words from overseas and then they're adjusting it to the katakana. So that's why when you are learning words in Japanese, sometimes you face with the foreign words, keep them in your mind the way it's written in katakana. It will help you a lot to explain what you want. Sometimes I find out that some Japanese words you can replace with katakana words like permission, which means yurusu, kyoka, and it's katakana, but Japanese also use it. And it's not permission, and if you say permission, Japanese wouldn't understand it. But if you say permission, they will understand it because it's easier for them. That's how they learn it. So it could be a really lifesaver if you learn the words from the overseas in katakana. And as I said before, why is it so hard to learn Japanese? I would say one of the biggest reasons is the Japanese culture itself. Japanese people are quite shy and they are not talkative. They don't like talking too much. They want people to understand the situation from the condition, from the aura, from like kuki or yomu. So kind of understanding what's going on from the aura. So it will be easier for you to understand what's going on and then act. And as it is more kind of high context language, so it means you have to be really good in human skills to understand what the other people's feeling even though they don't speak. So Japanese kind of became quite well in that. So expectation from you is the same. That's why most time we don't understand if the person is angry or if the person is happy or if he's confused. Because for us, we need more clues, verbal clues to understand what the person is feeling. So then interact with the person. And in Japanese, they don't need it. That's why sometimes you find there is no word what you want to say in Japanese. So you use maybe sometimes katakana, like overseas words for those situations or cases. So I would say this is one of the reasons why Japanese is so difficult to learn, I think. Another reason is, as I told, Japanese people in general, as they are not talkative, they also don't give you when you speak with them, they don't teach you more. They are not helping you with getting to the next level by explaining you something new that you don't know. They just tell, oh, how good you know Japanese, even though you just pronounce one word, and that's it. So I would say if you are trying to make friends with Japanese people, you'll find out that they try to speak more in English than you try to speak in more Japanese. So you end up having more English conversations than Japanese conversations. So if you want, just ask them. I'm sure they will be more willing to help you in case you ask them, please help me. I want to learn new words. So each time when I speak with you, if I say something wrong, just tell me what I should do or what I should do next and fix the problems. So I think that could be a way to help you. Actually, as I said from the beginning, I wanted to have Ken beside so he could help to understand the Japanese side and the foreign side, and we can kind of give more details about understand why it's difficult to learn Japanese language, because Japanese people, even themselves, they think the Japanese language is difficult. And when you can speak Japanese, we feel really happy that you have spent time to learn their language, even though it's difficult. So if you are having any difficulty with learning Japanese language, we have Japanese courses that you can take the course, and after that you can even find a part-time job here in Sapporo, here in Japan. So if you are interested, please contact us directly. We can help you to get for a good price those courses, and after that get a part-time job. Also, I have an announcement that we did donation events for last 3 months, and we have been getting quite good feedback. We have been working really well with the foreigners and foreign students who live in Sapporo, and we started getting feedback from people in Niseko and Kuchan area. So we decided to do in December a donation event in Kuchan or Niseko as well. Soon we will announce the event, so we will have one donation event in Niseko area. If you are interested, if you want to participate, please keep following us. And I want to thank all those people, all those foreigners who donated their clothes and their items to us during these last 3 events. Also, in December 11, we are going to have a flea market event. In this event, you can buy different kind of daily use items, necessity items, and hopefully, if we get more and more people to come to the flea market that we'll do in December 11, we want to have one more flea market in February. And in that case, it's not us, but you students or foreigners who want to sell their items can participate. Up until now, the flea markets that I have been, most time Japanese people were selling either to Japanese people like in Golden Market, or Japanese people selling to foreigners like in a garage sale at Hokkaido University. Now we want to give a chance to foreign students who have been accumulating all those items for these years, and now they can, if they go back to their country or if they want to decrease the number of items they have, they can sell it back to other foreigners or Japanese people. And hopefully we can have more of you on December 11. We will wait for you. And also I want to announce that our website 2gaijin.com is free now, so you don't need pay any money to get subscription or to list your items. If you want to sell or buy anything you don't need anymore, you can use our website, post it there, and we will help you to sell it really fast. Like last time, we had all items sold for a student within just 24 hours. And you don't need to post those items in several Facebook groups or in other social media platforms. We will do everything for you to get your stuff sold fast. And it's not just about selling the items, but it's also building a community that's trusting each other, that's helping each other, and having a better life in Japan. So hope to see you in our donation event, and hope to see you in our flea market. Also, for the next time, actually, as a 2gaijin, we have been in in business for almost last 2.5 years, and we have accumulated a lot of information and a lot of useful tricks or useful sources that we think could be interesting for other foreigners. And we want to share our experience and our practices that we have been using up until now with you at our next Wednesday meeting. If you have any questions, please ask us and we will answer them so we can make preparation for you. Also, if you want us to talk on other topics that you are interested, please let us know so we can prepare and talk about it at our next Facebook Live meetings. Thank you for listening. See you next time.